The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Now Barkley up the middle, cuts to the outside, across midfield, stayed in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way, 68 yards. Ryan Fitzpatrick is into the end zone for a Buccaneer touchdown. Taylor looking for the end zone. Touchdown, Josh Gordon. Rodgers fires, that's caught. Randall Cobb into Chicago territory. Randall Cobb is going to score.
And it's going to be a pick six on the very first play of Sam Darnold's debut.
Goff with time. Score it. Cup. Touchdown, Rams.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Before we get started with Overreaction Week 1...
Overreaction Tuesday.
Overreaction Tuesday. It is our 6th anniversary of the show, guys. 6 years now we've been doing this.
Yeah.
Somebody that had a kid on our first show, that kid is now in first grade. That's how long we've been doing this. Not quite like saying they grew up and graduated high school, but still not bad.
Yeah. No, I was 22 years old when we started this show. Crazy.
So was I.
Yeah, the axis spins a little bit faster up in Ohio than it does.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I was 25 and thinking I was getting old, and now I long to be 25. So.
Yeah, see, Mike has turned 30 in the course of this show.
Yeah, and 31 now. So, look at that.
And Zach was just a young college student, and now he's the editor and chief or something or other of an entire newspaper.
Well, the sports department, which is me. I
am the editor of myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that makes things a hell of a lot easier, I would imagine.
Hey, it's pretty much, hey, what are you doing this week? Cool. Like that's how our staff meetings go. I'm just glad that we have NFL players that I can cover now. So like part of my job was watching the Jets play all afternoon. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good for me.
Mike looks like a genius today. Jesus. Let's get to the NFL because we've been texting back and forth about it since basically 1 o'clock Sunday or actually Thursday night when the whole thing started.
Yep.
And I don't even know where to begin because every time you thought, okay, this is the game, this is the one that's going to be the one that gets the most play, something else would happen.
Is there any one thing that sticks out to you over the whole weekend?
Probably the Aaron Rodgers thing, just because, and I think I texted this, was the Packers season ended before it even began, and then it didn't. And so that kind of sticks out. Last night was something I didn't. I mean, I kind of knew the Rams were going to just have their way with the Raiders, but the Jets, Jesus, especially after the way Darnold got started, I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be bad."
I think if there's one thing to overreact to, it's the Buccaneers.
People, even in Tampa, were legitimately shocked. Like,
well, how could you be anything but?
Well, see, that was the game that I thought would be the one that would be like everybody like, oh, my God.
Between synagogue on Monday and work today, every single person who I've been like, what about the Bucs, huh, has been like a shock. I know, right? Nobody expected this.
Fitz magic strikes again.
Did you listen to the Cousin Sal and Bill Simmons podcast yet, Zach, for this week?
Yeah, I did.
I thought the theory that he's great if you give him 6 weeks to prepare is perfect because that's Ryan Fitzpatrick in a nutshell. You give him enough time, and he'll be awesome. But, yeah, that was the game I thought was going to be the one that everyone will be talking about. And then that ridiculous Browns-Steelers game happened. And you're like, okay, that's the one.
Yeah. The stats coming out of the Browns.
Oh, my God.
Are some of the best. The Browns were +5 in turnovers. Since the Browns returned to the NFL in 1999, teams with a turnover margin of +5 or better are 132, 4, and 1. The Browns are responsible for 2 of those losses and the tie. Besides the Browns, every other NFL team that gets 5 turnovers or more in a game is wins. 132 and 2. The Browns, with their 0-1-1 starts, have their best start since 2004. They didn't win, So their winless streak is now 18, and they have not won a game on a Sunday in their last 34 Sunday games.
Oh, my God.
Because the last time they won was Christmas Eve on a Saturday.
Any other team in the history of football, when they got that interception at the end of overtime there, wins that game. Any other team, I don't care. I'm talking the 76 Bucks who went 0-14 win that game.
What about the 2008 Lions?
The 2008 Lions with that idiot that stepped on the back of the end zone. Win that game.
Orlovsky?
Yes.
You think Orlovsky leads them down the field?
He doesn't have to. The defense gets him there, and then their kicker kicks it through. That's it. Game over.
Yeah. But only the Browns could have an interception late in overtime, get them in field goal range, except their best player, Myles Garrett, commits a penalty as the guy is stepping out of bounds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like he's behind the play. The runner is in front of him. And he blocks the guy in the back for no reason.
Yeah, the guy with the ball is miles down the field in front. There's no reason to block this guy whatsoever. None.
No.
And
then somebody field goal range and they shank it. And of course, the guy who's the field goal kicker, Arizona State guy, Zane Gonzalez, was the most effective college kicker in history. But he goes into the NFL and he shanks his game-winning opportunity.
It was blocked, actually. What's his name?
Right.
TJ Watt got it. Yeah.
TJ Watt.
But
still.
Somebody posted this. I don't know who it was. It just started bouncing around on Facebook. That game was the most Cleveland Browns game ever. And I have to say they're probably right.
It's the most Cleveland Browns way to tie a game, certainly.
I think of all the Browns-like things that we've seen, and I'm talking the blocked field goal that was returned for a touchdown against the Ravens, all the things we've seen, this has to be the most Cleveland Browns thing that's ever happened. You had so many opportunities to win this game, and you still, even though you didn't lose, you tied. You couldn't even get a win. It's so perfect.
On the other side of it, though, what does this say about the Steelers?
Right. That's where we get into Overreaction Tuesday. First off, I think the Browns' defense might actually be halfway decent. I think it might be pretty good.
I think that's something that we knew. It was whether the offense could do it. And Tyrod Taylor looked okay.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that team, and this is something, I don't know if you guys have seen this. Josh Gordon started that game, even though he wasn't supposed to. So either Todd Haley basically said, fuck you to Hugh Jackson and started him anyway, or there's so much trouble communicating with that coaching staff that someone didn't get the memo that he wasn't supposed to start.
Based on what we saw in Hard Knocks, I think either is likely. One is not more likely than the other, really. Sure, Todd Haley could have said F you, and Todd Haley also could have just not gotten the memo. Those are both.
It could be both, just as easily. It could be both things. He didn't know, and fuck you anyway. What I gathered from, especially after seeing that, is that coaching staff has absolutely no respect for Hugh Jackson whatsoever. None. They think
Would you? I mean, seriously, come on.
They think he's every bit the idiot that we do. Usually I'm not for firing a coach after week one, but let's be honest about it. This guy's had 2 years in one game, a game that they so clearly should have won on Sunday, and they lost. I'm putting it squarely on him.
He's 131-1.
Yeah.
So far, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the stat line says it all.
Yeah.
You pick off Ben Roethlisberger, what was it, 4 times?
Yep.
Yeah.
You pick off Ben Roethlisberger 4 times. You should win that game. The reason they didn't win that game was because the Browns' offense was absolute garbage through the first, 80% of that game.
Dude, it was never good. At no point did that offense ever look good. One of the touchdowns was scored on defense, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one of the ones they made late was pure luck. That Josh Gordon one at the pylon.
Yeah, and then there was another one, I think, that was the result of a turnover where they had to punch it in from the one. So, I mean, it wasn't like the offense did anything, really. And you look at it and you go, okay, I'm pretty sure that Haley's a better offensive coordinator than this. And I don't know if Jackson makes the final call on the play calling. He claims he doesn't, but then he claims a lot of things that don't turn out to be true.
But again, with the Steelers, though.
Yeah.
Without Le'Veon Bell, they look kind of pedestrian.
Mm-hmm.
And even though James Conner had 3 touchdowns, right? He ran in all 3, or did he have 2 at least?
He had a good game. I know he had 130 yards rushing. I guess a pretty good defense. Yeah.
Yeah, and they look pedestrian.
Yeah.
So what does that say about the rest of the division? Like, yeah, Baltimore blows the hell out of the Bills, but I think that all that said was how bad the Bills are.
Is Nathan Peterman starting next week?
They haven't said yet.
They haven't said yet, which I can't believe. First, we've got Hugh Jackson, which defies all logic, except that he doesn't defy all the logic because you've got Nathan Peterman still in the conversation to play NFL football. This is even dumber than Hugh Jackson, and I didn't think that was possible.
I think the Bills are just committed to the fact that they don't want to throw Josh Allen out there because they see how bad the team is.
Oh, yeah, but come on.
Like, watching that game, it makes me kind of wonder how the hell this football team made the playoffs last year. How did that happen?
Tyrod Taylor?
Why did they get rid of Taylor, too, is my question.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. If this is your plan, that you want Josh Allen to sit, and even if you didn't get Josh Allen, we knew they were going to get a quarterback of some sort. Why do you let Tyrod Taylor go? You didn't want to pay him the money for a year?
Like he was going to get that much money to begin with? I mean, okay. I like Tyrod Taylor. I think that from a football IQ standpoint, probably just in general, the guy's fucking really intelligent.
Yeah.
Smart guy. Not a great player.
He came off great in Hard Knocks.
Yeah. I mean, he's a really smart guy. His football IQ is off the charts, but he doesn't have the talent to back it up.
No.
I mean, that's the problem. And I mean, look, I think he's a great character guy, the whole bit. But he's just not that good of a quarterback, and I don't know. It just, but yeah.
With the Bills, what is particularly like it's just like I don't understand the obsession with Nathan Peterman. Why are they so committed?
I don't think that they're committed. It's that A.J. McCarron was the other quarterback they had.
What happened to him? Is he hurt?
They traded him to Oakland.
Oh, for Pete's sake, really?
Hey, he might have a shot in Oakland, given what happened last night. But.
Yeah, they were the one. Yes, they did commit to Nathan Peterman as going to be the starter going into the year, but I think that they're just so. At this point, they're committed to not wanting Josh Allen to get thrown to the Wolves, and so yeah, they do play him in that game, but it's late, and I don't know. I don't even think he looked that good. He
didn't look that great in the preseason either. I mean, he's a guy that going into the draft, I thought that's the guy I want. Now I'm like, thank God the Browns didn't take that guy.
I think what the Bills are at now is they didn't sign Tyrod Taylor because they knew they were going to sign get a quarterback in the draft, and they thought, well, either this quarterback is going to be good enough to start for us, or, we'll just throw Nathan Peterman out there as a sacrificial lamb. Maybe A.J. McCarron wins the job. Either way, one of those guys will go ahead of him, and the rookie will sit. Well, now they're in a spot where the guy they drafted doesn't look so hot. Nathan Peterman is garbage, and A.J. McCarron apparently looked even more garbage that they got rid of him to keep Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, I mean, how bad are you when you can't beat out Nathan Peterman for a quarter? What did you call him, Mike? Natty P?
Natty P.
Natty P, baby. There we go.
Natty P. I mean, how long was that video? 37 seconds? The highlight video of Nathan Peterman?
Video. Yeah. No interceptions featured.
No.
He took away his interceptions. There's not a whole hell of a lot left.
How many? He only played the one half last year for the Bills, right? He didn't play any of the other games.
No,
I thought he played.
He played one half last year against the Chargers. That went horrible. Then he played. I think. Then he also played against the Patriots. I think.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull him up.
And then he came into the playoff game because Tyrod went down. I think.
Well, maybe. I don't know. The guy must be one hell of a practice player. Is all I can figure.
He's got blackmail on the coaching staff.
Something. I mean, he's got a picture of somebody blowing a goat or something. I mean, it's got to be. It's whatever it is. It's bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to go back to what do we make of the Steelers? I think
Nathan Peterman has played in parts of 5 games total.
Okay, but back to the Steelers, I think that Ben Roethlisberger looked old. He made some plays, but he also didn't make some plays, and that division, unless the Ravens are for real, and I don't think that they're that for real. I mean, 47-3 is nice and all that, but I don't think you're going to see that every week. You might be looking at an 8-8 division winner out of the AFC North. And here's the thing. I think the Browns, based on what I've seen of the rest of that division so far, the Browns actually could have a shot at it if everything came together for them, which it's not going to, obviously, but that's a bad division. And I mean, again, you don't want to get too carried away in week 1, But there are things you can kind of tell after week one. And one of the things I think is that the Steelers are probably not as good as we thought they were.
Steelers aren't as good. Browns are better. Ravens might be better than we thought. And the Bengals.
Oh, the Bengals. I forgot about the Bengals. They might be tough. We kind of sold them off or wrote them off, but they might be okay.
Okay. I'm going to take the Bengals, the Bengals, the Ravens, and then this pains me because I picked them to make noise, the Jets, and I'm going to say maybe they're good, but I'm not ready to say anything just yet because I think all three teams played really weak opponents.
Yeah, good point. Good point. That's what I mean. You can't. You can kind of gather like, okay, one thing we know for certain, and I'm going to go all the way back to Thursday. It sure looks like Atlanta has not solved any of the problems they had last year. I mean, that game was an absolute carbon copy of that playoff game they lost to the Eagles back in January of this year.
Why Steve Sarkisian is problematic. Like the Falcons twice, they got first and goal at like the 5.
Yeah.
And I think Julio Jones played 2 snaps out of the 8 that they had down there, which is
insane.
Baffling. And even on those plays that he was in, they didn't throw to him.
No, it was, again, going back to the BS podcast, it was like they think he's great until they get inside the 10, and then they forget about him, or they don't like him or something. Or
Julio Jones isn't just some deep threat. He's the best receiver in football.
Yeah, no, if I've got Julio Jones on my team, you give him every opportunity possible.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, he's on my fantasy team, so it pisses me off every time they get him down there and don't throw to him in the end zone too.
You can't run a fade with him. You can't run a deep post. Throw a jump ball. He's one of the most athletic receivers that's playing right now.
It makes no sense whatsoever. And again,
put a place for him to try and make a play, and they can't even do that.
But again, and I think too that if the Eagles have to stick with Nick Foles for an extended amount of time, they're in trouble.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, I know he had a great game in the Super Bowl, but we talked about it last year. The guy is not a good quarterback. He has proven that over time, and I know that he didn't really do that great backing up Wentz going into the playoffs. They got some wins that were tough. And then he played great in the Super Bowl. But if you got to, I don't know how long Wentz is going to be out yet, but if you got to ride this guy for 6-7 weeks, you could be in real trouble. Real trouble.
Nick Foles, the same thing that happened to him at the beginning of his career. He got on a hot streak of hot streaks, and everyone thought the world of him. But then he eventually regressed and got into what we know he is, and that's what you saw on Thursday.
Yeah.
Sure, it's the first week, and it's a Thursday, and yada yada. You're still trying to fix a bunch of the get the season moving, and maybe he does show up. I got to pull up next week's schedule too. But going forward,
I think they play the Bucs next.
Yeah, they're trying to take it week by week with Wentz, and they say that they're not going to try to start him until week 3 probably. They said that he's probably not going to be playing this week, but I think you can survive the Buccaneers maybe, unless Ryan Fitzpatrick has another.
Nah, he hasn't had 6 weeks to prepare. He won't be as good this time.
Yeah.
The thing with the Bucs is that the offense looked really good in week 1, but the defense was pretty horrendous. Like they gave up 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, while we're on that game, are we worried about the Saints, or was that just one of those games you go out and know what the hell happened and move forward?
I'm worried about the Saints' defense.
Yeah. I'm writing that one up as just one of those things. Like, if this happens in week 9, we're just going, well, it's just a bad week. I'm not too concerned.
But the Saints' defense has always been kind of a problem, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know if it's been a 48 points a game problem, but yeah, it's been issues. Yeah. But,
the offense still scored 40. Alvin Kamara didn't have as great a game. Maybe that's a sophomore slump. Maybe it's just a bad opening game, and he'll get back into form. And once they get that balance, they're always going to be able to throw with Drew Brees. Alvin Kamara gave them that extra edge. But I don't know. It's funny that whole we talked up the NFC South. Everybody did going into the season, and between what the Falcons showed and the Buccaneers Saints, whatever you want to call it, and then just the lackluster showing by the Panthers, despite the winning, it's not a great opening, not a great preview for the NFC South.
No, it's real easy to lose confidence in teams quick after seeing what we saw. Like I thought the Panthers performed about like I expected. out of them this year, which is why I think they'll win 6-7 games. I think they're good enough to beat some teams, but wow. I mean, I don't understand how you can have an offense with Cam Newton and be that inept. Just that not being able to get anything done. The Falcons, unless they fix their red zone issues, I don't know what to say. I mean, I was really high on them. I thought they were going to be one of the best teams in the NFC, but man, it's like they didn't change a thing from last year.
Nope.
The Saints supposedly had this great draft for defensive players. Well, I don't know what happened then because this great draft
I think
give up an absurd amount of points.
If that's the case, though, that they're banking on these guys that they just drafted, with defense, you still have to learn schemes and formations and kind of get into the flow of things. And, having Ryan Fitzpatrick in there instead of Jameis Winston, maybe that's a wild card that they weren't prepared to see, even though they knew that was going to be the case ahead of time. I think that if that's the case, then it'll settle in for the Saints over time, and they'll probably still be the best team of that division. Yeah,
like I said, I'm not too like this game. That one of the weird things that we saw happen in the first week, that was the one I'm least concerned about. I think the Saints will be fine. Just one of those weird games. One of those weird games that you see. I mean, we could probably go back to last year's schedule and go, yep, there's one. But so I'm not too concerned about that. The Falcons I'm worried about because I thought, they talked about it throughout the whole game. The red zone issues, and then there they were. I mean, my God, that game ended exactly like it did in the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Hell, and really the only reason the Eagles were ever able to pull something out is because they did another pass to Nick Foles that kind of got the offense moving.
Yeah, right.
In that,
go ahead, Mike.
I'm just saying, like, it ended exactly like the playoff game last year, and even though, it's not quite the same thing, again, it's another blown lead.
Yeah.
After that Super Bowl, again, this is why in situations like this, you need to blow it up because they didn't blow it up. And now you have the same core of guys who's like, we blew the Super Bowl. We blew the playoffs last year. Like now we did it again. Like
I don't know if 6-3 is a blown lead that we're going to
they should have won. They had the lead in that game and they should have won it.
And I tell you, and to me, watching those two teams play throughout the game, it was clear. I thought at least Atlanta was the better team in that game. They just couldn't get anything together. I thought that the Eagles didn't impress me much. And I thought the Falcons, if the Falcons had been able to get their heads out of their asses and score a couple touchdowns, that game's never close. That's what I saw anyway. So I don't know. I think Mike might have a point. I mean, they made the playoffs last year, and I think they still won 10 or 11 games last year. But this was a team that was at one point scoring at will basically on the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and now it's like they're afraid they're going to get their feet cut off if they go into the end zone or something. I don't know what their problem is, but I'm a little concerned about them. Where are we with all the games? I mean,
well, one more thing on the Buccaneers with Fitzpatrick. Does seeing a game like that does it make them take an extra step towards? Do we really want to deal with Jameis Winston anymore?
I think they cut him loose.
It's honestly all going to depend because, again, we still got 2 more games before we. And so if Fitzpatrick regresses hardcore, then it might be a thing where it's like, all right, bring Jameson and see what he can do. But if they're 2-1 or 3-0,
yep,
and Fitzpatrick, I don't expect him to put 48 points up every single night, but if he's if they're 2-1 and 3-0 and he's got the offense running around, humming along nicely, then it's going to be hard to justify bringing Jameis Winston back as a starter. And if Jameis Winston isn't going to be the starter, is he worth keeping around for the behavioral issues? And that's where
I'll go one better than that, Mike. I think if they're a competitive 1-2 when he comes back, they're going to have a decision to make. Mm-hmm. I think if Fitzpatrick just plays competently, win or lose, I think you're going to. That's
true.
I don't even necessarily think they have to win, even be 2-1 or 3-0. I think if Fitzpatrick could show that he's capable of not being god awful, they might have a decision to make. Because I don't know that Winston's worth the trouble. And thinking back on his career at this point, I mean, has he really ever totally wowed us? And we went, wow, that's why you dropped that guy number 1. I don't know. Maybe he has, but I don't remember it.
I mean, he's had flashes of brilliance, and for the first 2 seasons, you could have said that he was steadily improving, which is why last year, which I believe was his 3rd year, everyone was so high on them because they'd seen him kind of getting steadily better. Everyone's like, all right, this is going to be the year he breaks out. And then he didn't. He kind of just stagnated and even regressed a bit. And so I don't want to say he's been a complete failure, but at the same time, he's certainly not what they thought he was going to. He's certainly not, number one draft pick.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Let's go to probably the other best game of the weekend. Bears Packers.
Oh my God. First off, I just poor Andy. Oh my God.
I just wanted to say, Greg, I'm very proud of you that you didn't post the picture of you and your Packers here again.
And I know he hates this kind of shit more than anybody, and I really respect that. Yeah. But I think so much of Andy that it's almost like I don't feel good when the Packers beat the Bears. It's like, especially when it happens like that, I'm like, oh, man.
Especially,
if it was a bunch of people I didn't like on the other side, I'd be like, fuck them. But, Admiral's a Bears fan, Andy. And I go, wow, that was really cool. But I kind of feel for them because I've been on the other end of enough of those to know what it feels like.
What did Andy post? Like, I hate being alive.
Yeah, I think he also said he hopes Aaron Rodgers dies. He said
yes, yeah, and you think he's joking? No, he would be okay if Aaron Rodgers got in a plane crash.
Yeah, that was something. I mean, what do you say about the guy at this point? The
way the Bears started. Oh, they were so dominant. Khalil Mack looked like at least a day, it made John Gruden look like the biggest ass.
I think John Gruden still looks like a pretty big ass.
Yeah, I don't think that John Gruden did anything to help his case last night. We'll get to that.
He did for a half.
Yeah, but I've got a good explanation for that when we get to that game. But sure. But Khalil Mack, my God, and then name one team in the league that couldn't use that guy. Why would you? Mm-hmm. And of all the teams, and I said this when we were talking, of all the players on that Raiders team,
why is he the guy that you're not going to pay, right?
Yeah, if there's one guy that deserves to get paid, it's him, and he's the one you decide to trade. Really?
Yeah,
I don't understand it, but
yeah, and supposedly the teams that were in on Mac were the Bears, the Packers, and the Rams.
Oh, I would have loved for him to become a Packer. My God, the problems that would have solved.
Would have loved for him to become a Ram.
Yeah, well, their plan was to keep him for 1 year and then just trade him. They were like, he was an all-in piece for this season, and it was like, Jesus, how much better they need to be.
Yeah, well, they could use somebody that helps out the linebackers, but for the Bears, they just looked so good, and then for Rodgers to go down early, it looked like a Brady 2008 situation.
Yep.
And when he went down, it's like it wasn't just like, he rolled his ankle, he'll be fine, or
it looked bad. It looked bad.
When you see him getting taken off on the cart and just the way the injury looked, it's like, that's a torn ligament. He is done, and the Packers are done right here and right now.
Yeah, because we all saw
who's the savior is DeShone Kizer.
Yeah, remember I said, I'm like, oh, lucky me, 2 seasons of DeShone Kizer I get now. This is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because, okay, so this happened. I was in Jewish New Year services, so I had my phone off, and I get out of there, and I turn the phone on, and I see like 2 things. I see the score to the Packers Bears game. I think by then it was 21-7 Bears. Mm-hmm. And I see like you've got 29 unread messages from Greg and Zach, and I'm just reading through it. I'm like, all right, I got to catch up. And I see Greg go, DeShone Kizer again. I'm like, oh, like when you have a QB issue, DeShone Kizer is not the name you want to hear.
Yeah, but so far, I haven't heard, if Rodgers' knee is blown out, they've been very quiet about it. So far, so good.
He said he's playing next week.
You hope it's just a sprain, and because the guy can't play like on a blown out MCL for the season. Brace or not, you can't do it,
Well, he wasn't even standing on his left leg.
No, I know.
The fact that he was even out there was ridiculous. Like, yes, okay, he came back and won the game, but if I'm the coach, if I'm the GM at that point, I say, no way. Not after what I've seen the last 2 years. We're taking the L.
Yeah.
You're sitting down and we are fixing this. We're getting you as good as you can be for the rest of the season. We're not ruining you in week 1 and 2.
Well, I know he says he's going to play it, but I don't think he plays, especially against the Vikings. You just can't do it because that Vikings defense is so tough. And if he's at 100%,
you don't think every one of those guys is going to go after his ankle, or his knee.
You just can't. You can't risk it. Not against the Vikings. I mean, if they were playing a team that doesn't have a ferocious defense, sure, maybe. But with the Vikings coming to town, I'm sorry. You know what, Packers fans, we're just going to suck it up and take the loss here because you can't risk Aaron Rodgers in that game because if you do, you might lose him for the season, maybe for good, and that's just not worth. It's not worth the gamble to me. Give him time to heal up.
But like I said, I don't know why you risk him in that game.
I don't either. But
it's fun. You can suffer a loss and be okay. But if Aaron Rodgers gets broken, you're done. You're done.
But I mean, just think though, man. Without that, he doesn't get to add to his legend the way he did on Sunday. I
guess. Well, I helped him. I thought it was to add to his legend is the Bears choked that game away.
I think so too. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers." It's like, really, you take away the 75-yard pass to Devontae Adams? And I'm not saying that. I don't want to. I'm not going to be one of those idiots on the boards right now trying to say Rodgers and Brady aren't that good. They're two of the greatest ever. But let's be honest about it, and I'll calm down for a minute. Yes, he did lead the comeback, but I'm with Zach. I think the Bears gave away that game every bit as much as the Packers won.
I just remembered I put the game on, and when the Packers went ahead, I think I had I had the reaction just as Zach, you were texting it, which was like, oh no. Like I'm a Leafs fan, so I feel for all of the Bears fans out there. I know how this goes. I felt the dagger for you guys. That was rough.
That's what I mean. I felt kind of bad about it because I knew what the agony it was putting Andy through. I don't get any enjoyment out of that, you know? And,
but what the Bears did is kind of what the Rams did and what a lot of these teams that have these offensive coordinator head coaches, they get too cute for their own damn good. Like what was working for the Bears in the second half was handing the ball to Juwan Howard and running. Yep. And when the game was on the line and they had a chance to ice it or they had a chance to even drive down the field and score, they stopped running it and they had Mitch Trubisky throwing these outs to the sideline, these fades down the sideline, which he's just not good enough to do. And so you're stopping the clock and giving Aaron Rodgers plenty of time to go down the field and put in that winning score. And the Bears could have iced this thing so many times, and then not to mention the dropped interception that they had right on that drive that ended up being a touchdown, later.
Well, here's another question too: why on 3rd and 1 with a second-year quarterback that's really hasn't shown himself? I mean, he's basically still a rookie. It's his second, it's the first game of his second season. Why are you throwing the ball on 3rd and 1? In the red zone like that.
3rd and 1 in the red zone with 2 timeouts while you've been
running back that can get you a yard, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, the Bears had their chances to ice that, and they didn't.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from my boy Aaron Rodgers either. I mean, he played a hell of a second half.
Yeah.
But the Bears had opportunity after opportunity and just kept shooting themselves in the foot. But that brings us to another question. So I was pretty high on the Bears coming into the season. I still am. I still think they're going to be a pretty good football team, despite what happened to them on Sunday night.
So, despite what happened to them on Sunday, I still feel much better about the Bears' future than I do the Packers.
Yep, I agree completely.
Because the thing that became readily apparent to me was that the Packers, in a lot of ways, are still very stagnant and sluggish, and they're only anywhere because they have one of the best QBs of his generation to, be leading the offense. I still think, I think last night, more than any other one game, convinced me that Greg, you're right, and they need to fire Mike McCarthy because he is clearly squandering a generational talent in Aaron Rodgers. It feels like Aaron Rodgers should be like a 3 Super Bowl quarterback. And
like I said,
and I think you could make the argument that he personally has played well enough to accomplish that.
He's like I told you guys when we were talking about it during the game. If I could pick a random Packers game from the last 10 years and put it on, and if it wasn't for the fact that we're such uniform geeks and would spot the differences that way, you wouldn't be able to tell if it was from 2008, 2012, 2016. They all look exactly the same. And that's a problem. That to me, that offense is, and you saw it. When Brady went down in, what was it, 08? Matt Castle still led that team to an 11-5 record. Why? Because they've got the greatest fucking coach that ever lived in Bill Belichick. Aaron Rodgers goes down. Everybody knows that that's it for the Packers. There is no hope. None. And, what's the difference there between those two teams? I mean, Matt Castle, okay, he's serviceable backup. But
we've seen the Matt Castle experiment. It doesn't work long term.
Yeah, but Belichick managed to get an 11-5 record out of that guy. Now they didn't make the playoffs, amazingly, but
that's just because of the way that was just a quirk of the NFL,
right? But do you really think that if Aaron Rodgers goes down, that Mike McCarthy can coach this team to an 11-5 record without him?
With Deshaun Kaiser, no.
He can barely coach into an 11-5 record with him. I mean, to be honest about it. I mean, we talk about Keenan and we talk about like a lot of the coaches in the NHL and in the NBA that ride one title. You want to talk about, I mean, Mike McCarthy is the NFL version of Mike Keenan or John Tortorella or whoever. He's taken that.
I thought that was Jeff Fisher.
No, I think I don't know. Fisher just boggles my mind. I don't get that one either. But
what Mike McCarthy is, he's a guy he's a coach that, to compare him to other sports, he's a guy that has a lights out goaltender that wins all these games that maybe the team doesn't play so well in front of him, but the goalie wins all these games, so he sticks around. The starting pitcher, the dominant starting pitcher, he's Mike Brown for the Cavaliers, Greg.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Where you have LeBron carrying that team night after night after night, but Mike Brown doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's just kind of there. But you have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is calling those offensive plays late in the game. Like that's not Mike McCarthy's doing the play calling. So he needs to be gone. Like you said, they have too much talent, at least in Aaron Rodgers and the receivers to waste this on Mike McCarthy and that defense too.
Well, that's the thing, that the team that in the NFL, if you're not changing, you're falling. You're falling behind. That's the end of it.
Yeah,
and they are the same team. I mean, and that's what I finally noticed. That it was like, what's the problem with these guys? It's like it's the same thing every year. There's never a new wrinkle. There's never a new this or that. It's the same struggle. If Aaron Rodgers plays great, the defense is good enough to keep you in it, and Rodgers will take care of the rest. But there's, they haven't had a good running back. I mean, unless you want to count Eddie Lacy. But I just, at the end of the day, when all things being equal, and you look at the talent, you go, it's got to be the coaching. It's like with the Browns. I mean, okay, all things being equal in that game, what cost the Browns that game that made them tight? It's coaching, because that was just some idiotic shit they were doing. So that's my issue with the Packers. He's got to go. He should have been gone a while ago. And from the reaction I got on the boards when I said that, apparently a lot of Packers fans agree with me. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, it's anyway, back to the game itself. I'm still pretty up on the Bears. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think the Packers are going to be what we get. They're going to be 10-6, and if everything goes their way, maybe they make a Super Bowl run, but I doubt it.
I was very encouraged by the start for the Bears. For Khalil Mack to come in with no practice and make that kind of impact on a brand new team says a lot about him. So you give him time to work into the defense. And really, I was kind of encouraged by what I saw by the offense.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky looked okay, during the game. You give him some more time to learn and make his reads and that sort of stuff.
And not get too cute like they did.
Right, and they have an offensive coach. Say what you will about Alex Smith, but Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, while Alex Smith was putting up great numbers.
Yeah.
And if you could do that with Alex Smith, he could probably make something out of Mitch Trubisky.
Sure. I think it's just, play within your limitations. And I think you're right. The Bears got a little too cute for their own good. I mean, that game, really, to me, it swung on the 3rd and 1 where they passed, and they really clearly should have ran the ball. Yeah. I don't know what they were afraid of. I get it from maybe a strategic standpoint where you go, okay, they're not going to expect this, but that's fine if you've got Brady or Rodgers or one of the elite quarterbacks, you can pull off a play like that. But when you've got essentially a guy that's still a rookie at Lambeau, opening night, Sunday Night Football, blah, 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 the whole bit, run the ball, get your first down, win the game. Simple as that. So,
and for Matt Nagy, I think we should have seen him mismanaging the end of a game coming, because he does come from that Andy Reid coaching tree.
Right. No surprise there,
that's
right?
That's never the coaching tree you want to see.
No,
the coaching tree you least want to see is the Belichick coaching tree, as proven again last night.
Yeah. Speaking of Andy Reid, though, let's go over to the other game that I really liked from Sunday: Chiefs-Chargers.
I tell you
Chargers lose their home opener on the road.
I like Patrick Mahomes. Where are we at on the Chiefs?
I like the Chiefs.
I'm liking them too.
I like the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes looks like he fits the part. Tyreek Hill is a monster athlete.
Yep.
The punt return and
when the punt return happened,
pretty fast.
When the punt return happened, it's what I said. The Chargers have decided to get their chargering out of the way really early this year.
And it's not even that. I like the other big story besides how good the Chiefs are, and we can talk about them plenty. What is the Chargers' problem with just signing a kicker?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What is in the
You're hitting a very raw nerve right now.
What is it that happens that when you
here, Mike? Let us drill your teeth without any kind of numbing, without Novocaine.
What is it that happens when you slap a lightning bolt on these dudes' helmets that they cannot put the ball through an upright? I don't get it.
I don't either. It's become a thing where, I want to see, we've got the Browns QB jersey. I want to see the Chargers kicking jersey going back, 2000.
It's kind of like Alabama, where it's like, Alabama has no excuses for never having a good kicker, but they never do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's just that they don't address it, or it's just, but it's also is it just a problem? Is that just it's a legacy now? I think that's kind of what it is with the Chargers. It is what it is. Every guy they bring in there, you bring him in hey, our last guy was bad, but hey, you're going to be the next guy. And yes, the kicking game was not what lost the Chargers this football game. They lost by 10. The Chiefs were the better team, but it sticks out when they keep.
Yeah, when you say they lost by 10, that's a touchdown and a field goal.
Yeah.
You lose by 10, you need to hit. If you lose by 10 and you've missed some field goals, you go back and you be like, well, we've got to improve on kicking.
I'll say this: I know a lot of people were way up on the Chargers coming into the season, and I think I said it in the preview. I'll say it again. If they were still in San Diego, I'd be right there with them on the hype train. I think they've got a lot of talent on that team, and they could be good. But this is a team that's figuratively going to play 16 road games this year. They have no home field advantage. No, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
I want to believe. I think that they could be good, but their situation just won't allow for it, and it's not going to get any better when they move into the new place with the Rams in a couple of years. I don't know, Mike. You would know better than I will, but I think that moving that team from San Diego destroyed it. And
pretty much. Pretty much.
Some teams you can move and they can thrive. Like, Cleveland moves to Baltimore and the Ravens are fine. Or the Titans to a lesser extent, but moving the Chargers out of San Diego and putting them in the situation they're in where they are at the very bottom.
Well, then again, when the original Browns moved to Baltimore and when the Oilers moved to Tennessee, their new locales were happy to have them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Whereas, I think the majority, and Zach, you could probably speak to this better than I can, but it seemed to me that when the Chargers moved, the sense among most Los Angeles residents was, fucking really?
Yeah, and at best it was who cares.
Yeah. It's just you look at the stands for these games, or you don't even have to look at the stands. You look at the way the games are produced.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear that there is some sort of mandate that you have to limit showing the crowd during gameplay for these Charger games, because you just don't. In every other stadium, maybe it's just the fact that it's a soccer stadium. Every other stadium, you get some sort of angle where you can see the crowd at the top of the screen or something.
See, I don't think a soccer stadium. I don't think the soccer stadium is necessarily justifies that, because, like,
yeah, I'm trying to think of like Galaxy highlights, and I'm pretty sure you can see the crowd in all Galaxy highlights.
Well, here's my question.
I don't even need to see Galaxy highlights, because, like, I watch. I'm a Chargers fan. I watched their games last season, and, like, before it started getting really before people realized that it was really embarrassing, like, there was no problem finding a shot that showed the crowd, like, in those games. Like, it was never it's noticeably something that they stopped doing about halfway through last season.
Right. Yeah. And I'm going to, and I don't want to go too far down the Chargers rabbit hole with the attendance and all that, but here's my question. And maybe it's location. I don't know the area that well, but if you can't put 27,000 fans in a soccer stadium, what makes you think you're going to be able to find another 50 to show up at a regular football stadium in a year? I mean, it's just not going to happen. And
then on top of that, you've got to pay Stan Kroenke rent.
Right. So basically, this team is going to be in this situation forever, unless they move back to San Diego. Because let's be honest about it, the Rams couldn't have. I mean, you couldn't have staged a better comeback to Los Angeles than the one these guys have put together. I mean, they weren't great the first year, but look at them now.
Yeah. No, like, the Chargers aren't a bad team. If they were anywhere else, there would be more hype around them.
Right.
But there's no hype. There's no hype because no one cares.
No, and that's tough.
There's not the hype around the Rams. People are all over the Rams right now.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the Chargers, is that they're never in an atmosphere where they feel like that they're not, that they're the home team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how much stock people put into that, but I think there has to be a little bit to it. That,
apparently, and this has been unconfirmed because, of course, the NFL would lock this stuff down, but apparently there was a lot of frustration about the whole 16 road games thing on the Chargers end last year. Like, the team noticed that, they weren't getting any support, in their quote-unquote home stadium.
No, I mean, if they are, it's minimal at best.
Yeah.
You're still getting shouted down by the fans of the quote-unquote road team that comes in to play you. So, but back to the game, the Chiefs, if that Mahomes kid, I mean, again, it's only week one. You don't want to get too carried away, but wow. And they've got Tyreek Hill, got a pretty solid defense. And let's not forget, too, Kareem Hunt's pretty good running back.
Yep.
They've got some weapons. And if Mahomes can do the thing, he's got a better arm than Smith had. Now, as far as the accuracy and all that goes, remains to be seen. But they could be very, very tough this year. So I'm even further in on the Chiefs than I was before the season after seeing them on Sunday.
Yeah, Chiefs are at the Steelers next week, and I think after that you can really get really.
We'll know a lot more about both teams after this week. Yeah.
Oh, sure, for both of them, definitely. The Chargers, on the other hand, go to Buffalo, so I don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah, here's the thing. If they walk out of Buffalo, if they lose to Buffalo, they might as well just quit and go home.
This is the Nathan Peterman revenge game.
Natty P finds redemption.
Natty P and the Bills.
He's going to throw 5 touchdowns instead of 5 picks.
Okay.
You watch him.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the situation of the Chargers. We've been down the road 1,000 times, but somebody did point out something that makes a lot of sense that I hadn't thought about it in this context. You look at what the Chargers are. They're in a very nice stadium. It's a little out of the way in Carson. Yes, it's a soccer stadium, but it's still extremely nice. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to go there unless, you just didn't care about the team. Whereas the Rams, the Coliseum this year is a legitimate construction zone.
Yeah.
They're in the midst of kind of renovating the Coliseum and putting in a press box, and there are cranes next to the goddamn stadium. They capped the ticket sales for a 100,000 seat Coliseum. They cap the ticket sales at like 60,000. So it always looks terrible. But there's still more buzz and excitement around what the Rams are, what they can be, and then even them moving into that stadium. Like, the Chargers put out ads all the time for, hey, come join us in the new LA sports and entertainment complex. And every time I see it, I just laugh. And everybody else I know laughs at it too, because it's like, that's not yours. You can advertise it all you want. Our new home. No, it's not. It's your new place that you're playing.
To put a bow on it, what needs to happen, and I don't know if you need to get the ownership out of the hands of Spanos or what, but that team needs to turn around and head back home to San Diego because or somewhere else, because it's not ever going to work in Los Angeles, and it's just as simple as that. As long as the Rams are there, and the Rams can be terrible, it's going to be like the Clippers. The best they can hope for is that maybe the Rams become terrible for a while. It's like, we'll check out the Chargers until the Rams get better again, but it's never going to be lasting. It's never going to be permanent. It's an idiotic move. I don't know what the fuck the guy was thinking when he did it, but
no, we've said it 100 times before. They are the football Clippers.
Yep.
And that's just what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, but I thought the Chiefs looked great. I would be more high on the Chargers if it weren't for their living arrangement. And it's a shame because I think you want to talk about wasting talent. I think we're seeing a really good football team that's going to get wasted because they don't have anywhere to play. That's not to say they're going to go 0-16 or anything. I don't think they will, but I think you can take 2-3 wins away from them just because of the situation they're in.
It affects the players. Like they're not excited to go to their job every week. No. Let's move it around. Let's go back to the NFC. 49ers, Vikings. Two teams that I think we're all interested in. The Vikings defense looked as good as it had all year last year. And Jimmy G finally loses a game where he starts. Oh no.
Yeah, I don't
Jimmy
know.
G magic didn't come through at the end. It looked like they were going to get what did you say? Like it looked like they were going to get it looked like they had a potential comeback in the works, and then what did you say, Greg? Like the Vikings just kind of told Jimmy G to go fuck off, essentially. That moved down.
I was one of those idiots that like before the season started, back probably before training camp, we started like, man, the Niners are going to be really tough this year. They're going to be really good. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about it on the NFC preview show, and Zach's like, well, let's look at who they played. And I'm going, okay, maybe they're not going to be quite as good as I thought, but they'll still be tough. And then I watched them, and I think they did okay against the Vikings, but you get on teams, you get off them, and I hate to dump on a team already after week one. I don't know that the Niners are necessarily going to be as good as I thought they were going to be. I mean,
no, they're going to be better.
They're going to be better, no question about it. But
I don't think you can debate that part. But as when everyone's like, oh, they're going to win 10 games, they're going to challenge for the division, they're going to do this, they'll be lucky if they're in playoff contention. I think at best they're 8-8, maybe 9-7.
I think they're looking another 6-10 season square in the face, and that's not a bad thing. I think that they're headed in the right direction, definitely. But when from a distance, you go, hey, look at this. This is going to really be something. But when you get closer, like and you pointed out, you start seeing there's a lot of holes in that team. They have, Alfred Morris. Is that what we're going to go with? Because how long is McKinnon out for the season? I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, who are they throwing to? Just a lot of problems there and things that they can address, and I think that they're going to be better, but I'm backing way off on the 49ers. Going into the season, I thought maybe playoff contender, not now. I mean, already, this is my overreaction of the week.
I think my overreaction it's very much in line with yours. If I had to have an overreaction where I probably speak too soon, it's that I think after week one, we can safely say that the Rams are going to win this division without much of an issue.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a little tricky starting out last night, but I don't know if we're going to start when we get to that game or if we're already at it or what. But
we'll get there. But I think Jimmy G looked good. Jimmy G looked fine.
Yeah.
This game is not on him. I think he. Early on when he kind of threw that pick, he thought, oh, maybe he's kind of falling apart. Maybe this is, I'm
not even worried about anything like that.
But I think he looked very competent in his position. That's not a problem. It's like you said, Greg. They just don't have enough around him.
Nope.
And I mean, we broke it down when we were doing the preview. The teams they beat at the end of the year weren't very good, or were in positions where they didn't need to be competitive, like the Rams in Week 17.
Right.
And despite that, all those games were still tight. despite the magic of Jimmy Garoppolo, they were still tight games that they had to pull out late in a lot of cases.
I think
so that's still the case now where, yes, you can build around Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that's something that they should 100% do going forward, but you still need to fill in the gaps around Jimmy Garoppolo because right now it's a lot of dudes and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, you've got the hard part.
You learned from Brady. He's not Brady where he can take a team like that and do amazing things with it.
The 49ers, in rebuilding their team, have gotten the hard part out of the way. They've gotten their quarterback.
Yes.
But there's still work to be done. So, yeah, I'm backing way off. I don't think they even contend for a playoff spot. 6-10 would probably, if they do it again, I don't think it'll be any worse than that, and I could be way wrong. I mean, this might be a classic week one overreaction, but I think they still got a little bit of ways to go. Another year or two, and then, we'll start talking about, challenging the Rams for that division, but not right now.
Yeah, Jimmy G, 15-33, 261, 1 touchdown. On the other side, Kirk Cousins, 20-36, 244, 2 touchdowns. Not bad.
Not bad. And what do we think of I think the Vikings are, wow, they're going to be
solid. Very good.
Yeah, that defense is just brutal, man.
I think it's a very good thing for Kirk Cousins' career that he got out of Washington.
Yeah. It's a good thing for Kirk Cousins in that he has a team that has a defense.
Yep.
Yes.
They're able to run the ball. Like Dalvin Cook wasn't as explosive as he was early on last year before he got hurt. Probably take some time to work him in the offense. That's not a problem. But Adam Thielen, still a great receiver. He had I
think they've got a very underrated receiving core in Minnesota with Thielen and Diggs, and I forget the third guy, but that's a good football team. And I wanted to say that the Packers would compete with them for the title, for the NFC North title, but I think it's the Vikings to lose. Basically, they're every bit as good as advertised so far.
If anyone's gonna, here's another hot take. If anyone's gonna give the Vikings problems, it's gonna be Chicago, not Green Bay.
I'm not going to argue too much on that point with you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, those are because if those games are going to be tight because if the Bears defense can play like it did, in the first game, I'm not as okay as Kirk Cousins looked, as good as the receiving core is and all that. They're not like game breakers that are going to bust through that defense. And then the same thing on the other side. I don't think the same with Mitch Trubisky and what the Bears can offer. So those are going to be games that are 13-10.
Yeah, if the Bears target their games looking at it like we've got to win, 24-17, 2017, and they can manage to execute a game plan that does that, they're going to be very, very tough. And I don't know. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers dodged a big bullet Sunday night. How many more does he dodge? I mean, can you keep him upright the whole season? You don't even know at this point, and it's hopeless if he's not. So I don't know right now that I'm ready to say the Packers are falling in line behind the Bears at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened. I think the Packers would be okay as long as Aaron Rodgers stays upright, but I'm still high on the Bears. I said it at the preview. I'm going to say it again. I think they're going to contend for a playoff spot. I think they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, it's just the Vikings, of the NFC teams that come out of the weekend, you're clearly like you can clearly see that. Okay, it's the Rams, it's the Vikings, and everybody else is kind of falling in line behind them.
Yeah, so far,
they're the class of the conference, and everybody else is going to have to catch up to show that they're going to be worthy of challenging either of those two teams. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about those Rams. First
Los Angeles.
Well, let's get the Jets Lions out of the way first and save Rams.
Oh God, no! This was just a full game to watch.
It was because it started out, the Jets first play. Sam Darnold, Monday Night Football. Here he goes, rookie.
Oh,
pulls out to his right, throws across his body, across the field. Why? You never do that ever. Right into the arms of a Lion who returns it. It's like, oh no, is this how this is gonna be? Yeah. But then, funnily enough, now, fast forward 2.5, 3 hours later, you're saying that about the other guy, Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Like, Sam Darnold's good. We can touch on him in a minute. But I think the big story of the game is how good the Jets defense looked. But I think they looked pretty good because Matt Stafford looked awful.
Well, you got to wonder, he got hit hard a few times, and you got to wonder if that didn't have something to do with his poor play after that,
Well, wasn't the third interception after he had already gotten hit? So he'd already thrown a couple interceptions before he got that sandwich
Yeah,
that happened to him in, like midway through the second quarter.
Well, I think part of the problem with the Lions is that they, for some reason, decided that Matt Patricia was a good head coach, which I don't think he's going to be. And again, talking like we talked about with the Niners. Okay, Matt Stafford, who's he throwing the ball to? Who's his running back? I mean, they got nothing around him.
Golden Tate is
Golden Tate, really?
For both of those answers. God, it just again, like the interceptions weren't like, oh, the Jets are making these huge plays on anything.
No, he was throwing it right to him.
He was throwing it right at him. I've never, of the two quarterbacks that were in that game, one is a rookie in his first NFL start. There was a pick six on his first play, and the other guy is Matt Stafford, a guy with 5,000-yard seasons to his name, right?
Uh-huh.
How that is not the result that I thought you'd get. Like, if you were going to show the lines of what these two guys finished side by side, I'd say, oh, well, Darnold's a rookie, and he, did a little too much for him. He threw 4 picks.
Yep.
Whereas Darnold was the guy that was, after that first pick, they simplified it. They kind of played it cool, short throws, get him on the rollout, make things easy for him, and let the game come to him, and that eventually worked in their favor. Whereas the other side, Matt Stafford was forcing balls where they didn't need to be forced. He was getting pressured all night, too.
Yeah. So that's where, what was the final score? Like
48-17.
Yeah.
The Jets scored 31 points in the third quarter with a pick six, a punt return, and then a touchdown.
What did you say, Greg? Yeah. Do they really have to play the fourth quarter?
I said that was Zach, but he made
no. Oh, that's right, Zach. You were like, put the Rams game on.
Yeah.
Literally, we're halfway through the third quarter, and I'm like, okay, well, this has been a great game. Oh, my God, we still have 20 minutes left in this thing. It felt like it went on forever because the game kept stopping because the ball kept changing hands.
Let's so while we're here, let's talk about the Jets. Mike liked him before the season started.
Mm.
Are we higher on the Jets, lower on the Jets, the same? I'm thinking
I'm higher. I think
I'm a little bit higher. It's all going to depend on Darnold. I think if he can play smart and limit the turnovers and this and that, I think we all agreed the defense was going to be good going into the season.
Yeah,
I think the.
I just want to real quick. Congratulations, Isaiah Crowell, for finally knowing what a win feels like again after all those years. Former Cleveland Brown. That dude was running like he's like they're not getting this back. No, we're winning this game, man.
The thing about the Jets for me is that I was high on them. I'm still high on them. The thing is that I'm not quite. I don't think my prediction that they're going to win the division is going to be fulfilled because, as we saw in a kind of a game that really wasn't very noteworthy, Brady still got it. He might fall apart one day, but I don't think it's going to be in the immediate future.
No, they're still the Patriots.
They're still the Patriots, so
I think the thing with Darnold, and this could develop as the season goes on, but this is a game that was the perfect opening game for him, where the defense is doing all this work. They're backing him up, said, here's the football. Or there was a point in that third quarter where they scored a touchdown, and after that, I don't think they touched the ball again for another 10 minutes because they kept scoring, whether it was the pick six or the punt return, and so the Jets were pulling away, at an exponential rate.
Yeah,
and things were kind of easy for him when he got the ball back. But again, they were very simple. They had the outside of the first the pick six. They only threw downfield once in the first 14 throws for him. I was keeping track of all this stuff for my stuff. And then he didn't throw downfield again until throw 15, where he finally threw that touchdown pass, which was a great touchdown pass because they'd been throwing short all day. He kind of looked at the short route, did a shoulder fake, got the defense to bite, and that opened up a one-on-one down the sideline, which he made the perfect throw on. And so, the game will come to him as the season goes along, and he'll be able to grow into that and start taking those looks downfield and start taking some risks. But on the other side, at USC, when he was starting to take some risks, that's when he was comfortable throw interceptions. So, do you want him to just play safe his whole career? You can, but you're always going to be on the margin.
Yeah, I'm
it would not.
Every year we get a couple teams that come out of nowhere. I'm not sure if I'm sold on the Jets being that just yet, but no. I like their chances a little bit better than I did last week.
Yeah, I like their defense. The defense showed that they're more than capable in this game. Again, Matt Stafford looked like absolute trash, but I believe in that Jets defense, and Darnold will be good. He'll be learning. He'll be improving. I don't think that they're a 10-win playoff team quite yet, but I think they're an 8-8 team. I think
they're heading in the right direction. I think
an easy place to put them at.
Yeah, and now as far as the Lions go, didn't have a lot of faith going in, and again, you don't want to get too carried away in week one, but I saw nothing that makes me think this team is going to suddenly turn it around and be good.
No. No. I mean, you don't expect Matt Stafford to be that bad every week.
No.
It just, I can't believe that a guy with that sort of pedigree would be that bad every week. But you look at the division, and it's just, there's no place for them to go. They're not they're not going to break through any of these teams unless Rodgers gets injured.
Yeah, I don't even see, even if he does, I just think that the Lions are just bad. And I didn't like the Matt Patricia hiring when it happened. He showed nothing last night to make me think that, it's your home opener on Monday Night Football, and you got your asses handed to you in your own building. That's not a good start.
In every possible way.
Yeah, every possible way. Not a good start for that whole thing. I think the Lions are going to be, they're going to be bad.
On the plus side, Jim Bob Cooter still employed. So
that fucking name cracks me up.
I'm convinced that it's made up every single time I hear it.
I just think of a country and western guy like, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Bob Cooter. Woohoo!
I think of some dude sitting on his porch like, oh yeah, Jim Bob Cooter lives down the lane.
Well, let's go down to Jim Bob Cooter's and smoke some weed and drink some moonshine. That's our guy right there.
That is not a real person. I don't. He may be a real person, but he's not someone that goes far in life, let alone coaches in the NFL. But here we are. Jim Bob Cooter still employed in the NFL, but yeah,
Jim Bob Cooter's got some of the best weed you can ever smoke. Believe me. Did y'all read the paper this week? Jim Bob Cooter got caught banging his sister again. Anyway, all right, not my best stuff. Rams and Raiders.
The Raiders put the fear of God in me for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So the first half of this game was just teams kind of figuring it out and feeling each other out. The Raiders looked actually really good for a half. Derek Carr was throwing the ball well. Marshawn Lynch was running. The defense was kind of stymieing the Rams because the Rams refused to just give the damn ball to Todd Gurley. God's sakes. And then in the second half, the Rams gave the damn ball to Todd Gurley, and the Rams defense played like the multi-million-dollar athletes that they are, and shut them out. And I 133-13. I think Scott Van Pelt put it pretty well on the SportsCenter right afterwards. He said it kind of had the feel of like a college game where, yes, there is that underdog team that can be scrappy and they can hang around, but if they don't land their punches early, then the big team with the more talent will just eventually outweigh you and pull away at the end of it.
That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
I mean, it's kind of like, to kind of use an analogy from last year's playoffs, the Jaguars had the Patriots early, but, they didn't get everything that they could have gotten, and they left some breathing room. And when you leave a team that is better than you in almost every respect, breathing room, then, they are going to win. You've got to capitalize on every opportunity you have, because the other team's not going to just go away.
Yeah, there were more than a handful of college games that played out exactly like this on Saturday too.
I think a lot of what happened was that you had the return of John Gruden. Everybody's psyched up. We're going to go out and, because, it's been criticized, the move. We're going to show, nobody believes in us, blah, blah, blah. And that shit works for about 20 minutes. And then it doesn't anymore. And the next thing you know, you're down 20. And that, to me, is what happened. I think that the college analogy is a very good one. But the Raiders were fired up and thought that, hey, we can show everybody that they were wrong about us. Well, no, nobody was wrong about you. You're going to be terrible. Hiring him was an idiotic move. I mean, look what he's done already. He let Khalil Mack walk out the door. He should be fired over that. That was another thing I thought was funny on the BS podcast. Was it possible to fire a guy before he'd even coached the game this year? Because Gruden with the move there. But, yeah, the Rams.
Yeah, what was the point of that? What was his – do we have any inkling as to a reasoning?
Money. No, it was money. The Raiders didn't want to pay him because Aaron Donald – he was kind of waiting on Aaron Donald to sign with the Rams. And as you said, Greg, it kind of was – even though I was kind of worried about it, you made a very good point when I brought it up. He just didn't want to play in the preseason.
Nope.
He just did.
Dude, I've been watching this game for a long time. I know it when I see it, and that's all that was.
Yeah, and so he finally signed, got all his big money, and Khalil Mack was on the other side kind of waiting around. And the Raiders' argument was that he wanted more money and maybe he deserved it, but he was bargaining in bad faith because he hadn't shown up to any of the offseason workouts, mandatory, optional or otherwise, and he was asking for a ridiculous amount of money and et cetera, et cetera. And John Gruden said in an interview like afterwards, if he wanted to be a Raider, he'd still be here. It's like, well, sure, but then you look at the way the team is, and he probably wants to get paid more than Derek Carr is because he's probably more valuable to the team than Derek Carr is.
I mean, Derek Carr did not have a good night.
No, he had a good half. He did look very good in the first half. The second half just got away from him. And that one interception where the receivers both ran the other direction from the pass. That was the pass that was in midair. And the Rams guy was able to bobble it twice before he caught it because he's like, oh my God, is this coming to me? Is there no one around me? Is this for me? I got it. Is anybody going to, I guess I'll start running with it. Nobody? All right.
The Raiders are going to be really bad. I don't know why Mark Davis thought it was a good idea to bring John Gruden back.
I don't blame John Gruden for going back. $100 million.
I don't blame him at all either. I mean, I take the money too, but I guess it just depends on if you want to win or not. And I don't know. I think they're going to be very bad. I don't think they're going to be good at all. I mean,
coaching retreads almost never work. Doesn't matter what sport either. I hate to touch this point, but like Randy Carlisle and the Ducks, not exactly ideal. It just never works.
Yeah, but was Randy Carlisle completely out of coaching for X number of years?
No.
He was out of he didn't coach
a few years.
A year.
I've seen this work one time. Dick Vermeil left coaching, came back and took the Rams to a Super Bowl twice actually. Or no, Mike Martz did it the second time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But he came back and they won a Super Bowl. That's the only time I've ever seen a guy walk away for an extended period, come back, and still be able to get it done. Then we saw, I think maybe Parcells, to a lesser extent, might have been successful. I don't remember how long he was gone. I'm sure it wasn't. Gruden's been gone, 10 years now?
A pretty damn long time. Yeah.
Around that, yeah.
I don't think Parcells was out that long, but I mean, and he wasn't that great when he was there. That's my thing. I mean, yeah, he won a Super Bowl and all that, but come on. He did it with Tony Dungy's team.
It's an aura thing. He was Chucky. He was Al Davis's guy. He's got that grr factor to him.
Well, then bring John Madden back if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's just it makes no sense from so many different angles, and to add in the Khalil Mack thing is just kind of icing on top of it all. And yeah, it did look like it was going to work there for him for 20 minutes or whatever.
I was never even concerned. I just knew it was all just adrenaline and trying to prove a point, but the talent would win out, and the Rams are just better. Just as simple as that. And it's kind of weird. I think this time last year we were having serious doubts about Jared Goff, or was it the year before? 2 years ago.
Well, yeah, it was coming into the season. We didn't know.
Yeah, and it turns out he's going to be a pretty good quarterback. Gurley's just a beast, and then that defense, and and then you're okay, Aaron Donald. You go, okay, yeah, and then you go, Marcus Peters. I'm like, well, shit, I forgot they had him. And,
I mean, just with Jared Goff's performance over, since he's been given the reins, it makes me wonder why didn't Jeff Fisher start him earlier?
Because Jeff Fisher's an idiot.
Well, and even when he played for Jeff Fisher, he wasn't going to work in that offense. Sean McVay is the reason the Rams are where they are now.
Yes.
I'll have you know, Jeff Fisher thinks it's all him.
Well, Jeff Fisher also somehow let Todd Gurley go an entire season without rushing for 100 yards.
Yeah.
So this is Sean McVay's doing. And even this game is Sean McVay's doing. The Raiders were going punch for punch for the Rams for the first half. But you just see, you look at the scoreboard where it's 7-7 after the first. The Raiders are up 13-10 going into halftime. Final is 33-13 because the Rams coaching staff is better.
Yep.
They adjusted better. They defensively, Wade Phillips knew what to do, and they shut down the Raiders' offense. Offensively, Sean McVay obviously was holding some tricks in his bag because he was saving Todd Gurley and gave a lot of carries to Todd Gurley in the second half. We're down the Raiders. The running game set up the passing game, and then it was on from there.
I don't think he was holding anything in his pocket. I think he made the proper adjustments. He saw what wasn't working in the first half, adjusted to it the second half, and we saw what happened. Yeah, that's what a good coach does.
No, that's the example of a coaching staff getting an A versus a coaching staff getting an F. Yeah. And it makes sense because one is Sean McVay, who's already proved himself. I think if there's anything this game shows me too, is that the Rams are not a one-season fluke. That Sean McVay isn't going to get figured out anytime soon, that he's just a damn good coach. And on the other side, it shows me a coach that hasn't been in the league for 10 years, wasn't a very good coach to begin with, and he's
probably not even there. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to disparage Gruden's work ethic or, try to insinuate that he's got anything, that he's trying to pull anything on anyone, but I honestly don't think he sees this as like I got to go and do this. I think he sees it as, somebody offered me $100 million to be a football coach, and I can do that.
Yeah.
Like it does. I don't get, like, I mean,
the way I watched the video just yesterday where he kind of explained what happened. He was doing a game, a Monday night game in Tampa, and they had the Ring of Honor thing where he got put into it. And he's like, oh, I was just so excited to be down on the field again. And then Mark Davis came calling like, hey, would you want to be a coach for this X amount of dollars? And it was just like, well, coaching's fun. I like football. Yes, I'll take money for football. And that's where he is now. Is that he
just wants to have fun.
He had this relationship with Al Davis. Al Davis didn't want to let him go to the Buccaneers. But it's just this kind of it's such a Raiders thing. This would not happen with any other team except the Raiders, and now this is where they are. The fact, like,
do you think that when
the billboard in Vegas, like, did you see that during the game?
Yeah,
the billboard that they have on I-15 going down the strip is the Raiders are coming home, or we're coming, or something like that. The Raiders are coming, and it's a big yelling picture of John Gruden.
Yeah.
Do you think that when John Gruden took the job, like, he had to like get his stabbing knife out of storage?
He had to, sharpen it.
Yeah. It's 10 years. It needs to be sharpened.
I just think that this Raiders team is going to be very, very bad. And it's a shame, too, because they were, 2 years removed from being a pretty serious playoff contender. And
well, last year was going to be the year. Like 2 years ago, they had a really good season, and then, like, their starting quarterback. Yeah.
And then they went to that playoff game where it was two backup quarterbacks going against each other.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, how teams pop up like that, though, because remember the Raiders, and it was the same year the Cowboys Renaissance, and boy, you just talk about windows that opened and closed quicker than you could even keep track.
But it was like last year was supposed to be like the year. It's like, oh, okay, they got Derek Carr for a full season. We're going to see the Raiders. And by, like, I want to say I was off of them by, like, week 5, week 6. It was like, this isn't working. This isn't what it was advertised to be.
Yeah, but I'm all in on the Rams. That's a good football team.
The Rams are good. I picked them last year to win. I might be betraying my Chargers in the Battle of Los Angeles. And of course, I still want to see the Chargers win and do very well. But I think the Rams are the real deal, and I think unless something catastrophic happens, they are going to be the next big team to beat in the NFC, possibly even the league.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that I took out of this game, besides how good the defense was, besides the coaching, and yes, the big reason for the turnaround of Jared Goff is Sean McVay, but Jared Goff also looked like a quarterback that is learning, that has learned and has improved. There was a move where it was a simple thing. A guy broke through the line, was coming right at him. He gave a monster pump fake that sent the Raider into a cartwheel, and he was able to pump the pressure off of him, and then complete a slant for a first down. And it was like Jared Goff a year ago even is running scared and tripping over himself. Yeah. There, he was standing tall in the pocket, made a savvy move to get the pressure off of him, and completed a pass for a first down. Mm-hmm. It was so simple. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, Jared Goff, I'm here with you now. Like I was kind of questioning. That was the only wild card for me. Is Jared Goff going to regress? I think he's fine.
Yeah,
and they had some really good deep balls that they're still kind of working on the timing because they didn't play in the preseason, whatever. But hey, I said it in our preview. I am all behind this Rams team. Like I don't usually like trying to call out my teams as being potential winners out of the gate, but this is a Super Bowl team. Like this is a team that needs to win a playoff game, get to at least the NFC title game, or it's a failure. And I think even if they don't make the Super Bowl, I'll be very disappointed because this is a team that has all the goods.
Yeah, they're going to be something. And, I don't know. There's a certain amount of stock that you can't put into a coaching staff, and there's a certain amount of stock that you have to put into a coaching staff. And this is a case where, again, all things being equal, you like their coaching staff because they just McVay is young, he's bright, he knows how to make adjustments, and he's not one of these guys that's stuck in a rut that it's going to be my way or the highway, blah blah blah. And
he's also not stuck in like that outdated way of thinking like Jeff Fisher was, where it's like, oh, we have our rookie quarterback, we have to make him sit for 3 years, right? Like,
and he's a guy that just he's able to shift on the fly, and that's very important. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I'm all in on the Rams too. The only thing, the biggest problem they have is their uniforms. That's it.
We're working on it.
And I'm going to tell you guys something that's going to floor everybody that's ever listened to this show or knows me from the boards. I'm off the blue and whites. I don't think that would be a good look for them. I think in the old days before HD and all that, I thought it was a fantastic look. But when you see it like now, it's almost too much.
You know what's kind of struck me about the jerseys? So I finally bought my Todd Gurley jersey, the throwback. I wore it all day Monday. And it was a nice, bright, sunny day here in Southern California. So I'm walking around outside, and I just kind of look down at the sun kind of reflecting off the jersey. And I'm like, oh, man, these are gorgeous. The royal blue and the athletic gold in the Southern California sun is what the Rams need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the blue and whites looked fantastic from the 70s, but you get maybe it's the white face mask is too much for me. I don't know, but there's something about it. It's just too much. Like I don't know how you can't really tone it down either. So I'm kind of glad that they're gonna probably go with the blue and gold. And it's not to say that I don't like the blue and white, but I don't know that it's a good full-time look. It's just there's an awful lot of bright white going on there, and it doesn't work for me as well as it used to.
Before we move away from Monday, because you brought up the white face mask, New York Jets.
What the fuck was that? Yeah.
Never do that again.
Yeah, and while we're at it, Lions, you can leave those all blue uniforms at home too.
Oh yes, that. God.
Okay, I'm gonna repeat what I said on Monday. Like, I'm gonna enjoy the Jets' current uniforms as long as we have them, because the Jets are changing next year. It's been confirmed, and coincidentally coinciding with that confirmation, the Jets have switched to black practice jerseys and their Instagram for the quarterbacks. Yeah, and their Instagram has been going, "Hey, Jets fans, what do you think about these black jerseys?" The same time they confirm new uniforms.
And I mean, this isn't necessarily linked, but they've been using a lot of kind of bright. I don't even know if it's Kelly green. How would you describe the green they're using in their marketing materials? Like,
I'd say somewhere between lime and Kelly.
Yeah, it's pretty bright green. So I don't know if that's just marketing or.
I said it last night. I'm going to say it again here for the public. They are going to take what is this close to being just a classic uniform. I mean, they need to fix the colors. There's no question about that. They need to fix that green. But that's it, and they're going to fuck it up like we've never seen. They're going to take a beautiful uniform and ruin it.
These are the uniforms that Joe Namath wore, man. Come on.
Look, is it like, is it like
arguably, maybe less so now because it's, as we get, even further away from it. But you could make the case that like Super Bowl III is one of the most famous games in NFL history.
Oh, without question, yeah. I mean,
and it's like, and the Jets won that game. In essentially these uniforms, how do you abandon that to be black and lime green?
And the only other look they've ever had is the '80s look, where they weren't really that good. So
no,
why would you want to even kind of resemble that?
But you know what? I would, if anything at all, I would rather them go back to the '80s look if they've got to change than to do anything else. Yeah. Either stay with what you've got, or
it's going to be black and it's going to be lime green.
Oh, it's going to be awful.
And you're going to have numbers with those stupid little jet tails on it.
Yeah, it's going to be.
What's going to happen.
It's going to be a disaster. Yeah. We already know it, and that's a shame because, is it the most imaginative uniform ever? No, but it's iconic for Super Bowl III alone. It's got history behind it, and it's just a good look. I don't know why you would want to mess with it. It's simple. Fix the green. I mean, I don't know what color the green is, like pine green now, basically.
The problem is that, we've known since Nike took over the contract that they can't make green. Remember the Eagles?
Yeah, right.
Had to wear white and black for the, first 3 quarters of their first season under Nike.
While we're talking uniforms, am I high, or did the Titans didn't change jerseys during that game on Sunday, right? They didn't start out in navy and go to the Columbia blue. Because I could swear.
No, they were wearing the blue all day.
Okay, because I could have swore. I'm watching. I'm going. They didn't. And I'm like, no, there's no way. They would what they knew they were going to get rained on, and I was just. But
they knew they were going to get rained on.
And seeing those things in action. Oh man.
Yeah.
Look,
let's
excellent Argos uniforms.
No, you know what though? I think the navy blue jersey and the navy blue helmet are good Argos uniforms. The navy blue helmet with the Columbia blue jersey and the white pants looks awful.
It does.
It's just not good.
There are very few examples where you can make a 3-piece football uniform with 3 separate colors work. It has been done, and you can make it work, but it's a tricky process. And
but what they wore on Sunday was bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna say it again. Those sword sleeves are stupid.
Fucking stupid.
The sword sleeves are stupid, and the pants stripes are stupid.
I've been bitching about this. I don't even know how long now. Probably at least 6 years as long as we've been doing this. Just because you're called something doesn't mean you have to become it. You don't have to become Titans and have swords on your shoulders. You don't need to do that. I don't even know how a Titan and a sword come together anyway. That's beyond me.
Titans were Greek gods, and
you're a god. You're actually greater than the gods. You're a Titan, so you don't need a sword.
Well, when they would fight in mythology, they had swords.
Whatever, but I mean, what's next?
The sword as an element doesn't bother me. It's using the sword as a jersey stripe is
right. That's what I'm talking about. You don't need.
You can put it in a logo.
Absolutely. But you don't have to become what you are. Like it'd be like if the Falcons decided to start wearing jerseys with feathers on them. Come on.
You want them like the Oregon Ducks, for example?
Yeah, it's just enough already. And we can go a long way on uniforms talk, but
sure.
All the changes in the NFL since we started this show, and I'm trying to think. There's been quite a few. How many good ones have there been?
Vikings was good.
Vikings, yeah.
I think Buffalo was before we started the show.
Buffalo. I would also say it's not a major change, but I would say that the Dolphins getting rid of Navy this past season was a positive improvement.
Yeah, but still not a great uniform.
Does the 49ers count?
Yeah, because they've switched back to the throwback, so I'll give them that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not a change. That's not like a rebrand. That's just going back to what we used to wear. So
no, very few of them have been good.
Jacksonville's fucked up twice now since we've been doing the show.
The Jags have fucked. Yes.
The Browns ruined their uniforms. Tampa Bay ruined theirs.
The only good thing the Cardinals did, and this was even before the show, was fixing the logo, but the uniforms to go with it have not been good.
But that's
the
what
Lions bad. Yeah.
It's just, and so of course I have no faith in the Jets getting it right when they do this. It's going to be terrible. I mean, the Titans ruin their uniforms. It goes on and on and on and on. And anyway,
let's talk about the Titans game. This thing took like 12 hours to play because of the rain and the lightning and all that.
South Florida, everyone.
Yeah, it's the Dolphins and the Buccaneers had that game canceled in week 1 last year because of a hurricane.
Yeah.
In Major League Baseball, they try to not schedule games in all those cold weather cities so they can avoid closures, early in the season.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do they not do this in football? Why do they?
Because the NFL arrogantly believes it's above weather.
Especially this time of year where you can play anywhere. The weather's fine everywhere in the country right now. You have nothing to worry. I mean, obviously you got rain problems and stuff in Florida, but I mean, it's not like moving north is going to be a problem. Like if you can play in Minnesota outdoors right now, no problem at all. So I don't get it.
Yeah, but instead you're going to have to deal with possible hurricanes.
But it seems like the last three or 4 years now we've had either in college or in the NFL.
Oh, college is just always a problem.
Yeah.
You can't get around it because you're not going to get all the teams in the South to play all the teams in the North, for 2 months. It will never happen. So you're always going to run into that. But the big takeaway here for the Titans, Marcus Mariota looks like he's hurt.
Who?
Marcus Mariota.
Oh, great. Good for them.
He got a helmet to his elbow. He says that he was having trouble feeling his arm for the rest of the day.
That's never a good sign.
Their running back, receiver Delaney Walker is going to be out for the season, looks like.
Oh, good.
So the Titans season and Mike Vrabel's first year at the helm looks like it's kind of sunk before it even gets out of port. I think your irrational confidence on the Titans needs to be reeled in a little bit, Greg.
Oh, it's gone. There's no irrational confidence in them this year. As a matter of fact, I'm officially right now transferring my irrational confidence from the Titans to the Jets. We go back to the original Titans, the New York Jets.
Can we get this marked down in the minutes, please? Mark down in the minutes that Greg is officially changing irrational confidence teams.
Yes.
And then
if it wasn't for that moron Hugh Jackson, I'd switch my irrational confidence to the Browns. But as long as he's there, I'm not doing it.
Speaking of the Browns, we haven't covered this quite yet. Are they going to? Do they get to open the beer? Because it's a tie. Like the losing streak's over.
No, they got to open the refrigerator's open. They get to take the beer out, hold it in their hand, and then put it back. They're not allowed to open it though. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, now
I've heard like half a Gatorade bath for the coach, and it's just the whole thing's been.
They get to drink warm beer instead of cold. Titans, God, it's such a stupid thing. The Dolphins, I mean, they let the Titans back into that game late when they probably shouldn't have, but that's a weird game in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Beyond the Titans getting injured, I don't know what you take out of that game for anybody.
The only thing I take out of it is kind of what I already knew, which is that both the Titans and the Dolphins are two kind of mediocre teams. I think neither will amount to much.
I think the Titans are bad, and I think the Dolphins at best are mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
How did the Titans make the playoffs last year?
Because the AFC is a dung heap.
And my irrational confidence took them a long way. Yeah. I don't know how they did it either, but I think Zach's probably closer to the truth, and that the AFC is just not a very good conference.
No,
but that game, it's hard to you try to have something to react to out of every game, but I don't know what to make of that game because it was so screwed up.
They didn't even have a halftime because it kept getting delayed so much. They just said, we got to put this thing in.
So it's hard to say I don't think if I'm a Dolphins or a Titans fan, I'm not making Super Bowl reservations. I know that for certain, but I don't think either one of them are going to be very good. I know there were some people that liked the Titans going in, but even me, irrational confidence Titans guy, wasn't there this year.
Yeah.
So,
Patriots beat the Texans 27-20. Kind of methodical for the Patriots. I don't know if I'm kind of like thinking I might back away from the Texans a little bit after that game, though. I mean, I know it's the Patriots and all, but I didn't see what I wanted to see out of my Texans in that one. Yeah, that was a game that was there for them to be won if they were going to be a competent team, and I was behind the Texans too. But yeah, I'm with you. I think I needed to see a little bit more from them, than what they showed, because that was, again, the Patriots didn't do anything truly amazing. They just kind of did what they do and win the football game. Mm-hmm. Jaguars Giants.
Giants should have won that game. Simple as that. No, they should have. Talk about a team that hasn't solved its problems. I didn't see anything from the Jag. I mean, I think they're going to be solid again.
Defense is good. They can run the ball a little bit, and Blake Bortles is at best okay. Now, this was a day game, but Bortles fact: Blake Bortles undefeated on Sunday Night Football.
Hey, that's true, right?
Yeah, he has not lost a game on Sunday Night Football. That is true. Redskins Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to be bad.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford is garbage.
And I hate to bring it up another.
He made it through without being broken in half, but he's not good.
Well, it's like I said in the preview. You look at him wrong and he blows out an ACL. But I hate to keep bringing another podcast into this, but they made such a great point. It's like, does anybody still look at this guy and go, yeah, he's the answer?
How many games until Josh Rosen is in there?
I think next week.
Well, he should have started from the beginning, but he's not.
See, and I think the Cardinals
still going to go with Sam Bradford.
I think the Cardinals have enough around him. I mean, not to make them good or anything, but he'll be safe enough. They're enough to protect him, where you can throw him out there without worrying. Like in Buffalo, yeah, Josh Allen's probably going to get killed if you throw him out there. But I think Arizona's got enough that they could play Rosen without having to worry about it too much.
Alex Smith, his debut for Washington, 21 of 30, 255, 2 TDs. Not a bad day in his first outing.
No. He's doing what Alex Smith does.
Sam Bradford, on the other hand, actually similar numbers, 20 for 34, but for only 153 yards.
Well, that's because what they call him, Mr. Checkdown?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Cardinals are going to be bad. I mean, I said
they're
at the
going to be
start.
bad until they switch quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, you put
Sam
Rosen in and at least make things interesting at least, But with Bradford, forget it. It's just going to. Well, he doesn't have to worry about it. He's going to get hurt anyway. So just wait it out. Wait till he blows out whatever he's got left to blow out, and that'll be that.
Look, it's not a good time to be Mike when it comes to football. All right.
Well,
hey, dude, I'm a Browns and a Packers fan. I'm not that far behind, believe me.
Oh, hey,
I'm like one hit away from my entire season going right down the tubes.
I guess the only question is left on this game: does the dismantling of the Cardinals tell you anything more about? Did you learn anything about the Redskins or Alex Smith or any of that?
They're the Redskins. They're going to be like they always are. They can be good. I don't think they're going to be great, but they've always been on the verge of between 6-10 and 10-6, and I think that's where they are again this year. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it didn't really show me anything. I knew the Cardinals were going to be bad, and they were. Alex Smith proved that he's Alex Smith and that he's not going to wow you, but he's going to have a very competent game. And,
yeah, and I mean, with the Redskins, that might make a big difference because with Cousins, I mean, he could be electric at times, but he could also be terrible. With Smith, at least you're getting consistency, and that might be good for a couple of wins that the Redskins might not have gotten with Cousins. Who knows?
Seahawks Broncos.
That was actually a pretty good game.
I think it's a good game because they're two teams that are on the same exact level.
Yeah.
But what level that is, we don't know until they play other people.
Right.
Did Case Keenum do okay? Sure. He finished 25 of 39. You're having Case Keenum throw the ball 39 times. Good God. 25 of 39 for 329 and 3 touchdowns. Not bad. Russell Wilson's 19 of 33, 298 and 3 touchdowns.
If they can get that kind of performance out of Keenum every week, they're going to be good.
But I think you got to look at who's going up against. It's the Seahawks with a dismantled Legion of Boom. This isn't the Seahawks that we've come to know over the years. It's a different
Look,
team.
we got to laugh at Russell Wilson, so.
I'll laugh at Russell any chance I get, just because.
And really, I don't know if you're going to learn too much about the Broncos next week as they play they host the Raiders.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks you might know a little bit more about. They're at the Bears on Monday night. So
that'll be interesting.
An intriguing game at the very least.
That's a game where if the Bears are going to show me anything, they bounce back and they run Seattle right out of their building. Let's wrap up this marathon football show here, and we'll do it all again next week. We are underway in the National Football. I don't think we overreacted too badly on anything, did we?
No. I mean,
we had an extra day to kind of settle in.
And you know what? It's week 1. You're allowed to overreact.
Sure, that's part of the fun.
It's part of the fun. It's part of the fun.
My big overreaction is I was in on the Rams, but now I'm really in on the Rams. And
my big overreaction, and I don't even know if it's an overreaction or maybe this is just the pessimism, but like I'm already writing off the Chargers season's doomed. Nothing good's happening.
All right. That's it for this one. We will do it again next week with more football stuff, and I'm sure we'll get some other things in there as well. So in the meantime, follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and the YouTubes. And if you're into that sort of thing, find us on Facebook. Until then, we will see you next time.
Later.
Ram it.